When my kids were little, I used to dread coming back from grandma and grandpa's house because I was inevitably left saying, I know. I know that's how grandma does it, but we don't have dessert every night at our house for at least a week after our return. I hated feeling like I was comparing, judging, justifying, or explaining myself all the time. So let's talk about this real life parenting moment. You've just started making progress with your kid. They're finally trying the broccoli without complaining. They've stopped asking for snacks every 10 minutes because they are listening to their bellies. And you feel like maybe, just maybe, you're finding a rhythm. And then grandma shows up with a grocery bag full of lollipops and Little Debbies. Suddenly, all of your routines fly out the window and you're left standing there wondering, am I making too big a deal out of this? Is this really as important as I think it is? Here's a spoiler alert for you. It sure can be, but maybe not for the reasons you think. So when a family member overrides the boundaries you've worked so hard to put in place, whether it's bedtime, screen time, or some kind of food rule, it doesn't just feel frustrating. It actually sends mixed messages to your kids. When it comes to food, it matters especially because they're still learning to identify and trust their hunger cues, to learn to try new foods, and to determine what it is they really like. And so when someone they love, and someone you love, steps in and creates confusion, it's hard for our kids. And sometimes it sparks tension, mainly between you and your mother or mother-in-law. And it makes us second guess ourselves and our decisions as parents. But I want to say this clearly. You're not being controlling, you are being consistent. So let's zoom out a little bit, because most of the time, this isn't really about the cookie or the second helping of macaroni and cheese. It's really about something deeper, and it is about a clash in our values. You are working on building trust. This is your focus. Trust and independence and balance with food. You want your kids to grow into confident eaters who know when they're hungry, who know when they're full, and they know how to enjoy a variety of foods without feeling guilty. But your parents or your in-laws, well, they might be operating from a different playbook. Maybe they see food as love. Maybe they want to be the fun grandparent. Maybe they raised you during a time when clean plates and second helpings were seen as good parenting. So what happens when those differences in values meet? Usually someone ends up hiding candy in a purse or whispering. So how can we handle this? What can we do? Surely we don't have to just throw our hands up and say, oh, well, grandma's coming, that's that. I like to use something called the Circle Up framework. It is my go-to for handling food value clashes, especially with the people I care about most. So let's walk through it one letter at a time. C, clarify your values. Before you even step into a conversation about this, get clear on what you care about most. Is it avoiding sugar altogether? Is it not using food as a bribe? Is it keeping meals peaceful and consistent and calm? Knowing your priorities helps you decide which battles are worth fighting and which ones you can let slide. I, invite conversation early. Don't wait until Nana is halfway through serving cupcakes for breakfast to bring this up. Have a conversation ahead of time. You could say something like, we're working on helping Ellie notice when she's full. So we're trying to avoid encouraging seconds unless she asks for it. Do you think you could help us with that while you're visiting? This doesn't have to be a confrontation. Think of it as a collaboration and ask your mom or your mother-in-law for her thoughts. R, respect intentions, and this is a big one. Assume good intent. Grandparents usually aren't trying to sabotage your parenting. They're trying to show love the best way they know how. So if you're wondering what to say in a situation like this, you could try something like this. I really appreciate how much you care about the kids. I see it. And that is exactly why I'd like to talk to you about how we are approaching food right now. Also, I don't really want to be the mean mom after you leave, so do you think you could help me out with that? All right, the next C in Circle Up is consider compromise. Technically 2 C's, but consider compromise. Listen, not everything has to be a hard no. Maybe your kid gets a treat, but only after lunch, or they get to pick one dessert from the cookie tin instead of 5. Allow yourself some flexibility without giving up on your core values. This is a really important thing as it models something for your kids too, which is creating boundaries with kindness. L, listen and let go, just a little. So here's a tough one, I know, but I'm going to tell it to you straight. You are not going to be able to control every bite your kid takes when they're not with you. And honestly, you shouldn't. Instead of focusing on the exceptions, let's think about the big, broad pattern for your kid's life. One weekend with grandparents isn't going to break the habits you have created and been working towards consistently for the other 90% of their lives. So it's okay. E, educate with empathy. Some grandparents are curious, others are skeptical. And so if you have a grandparent that's curious about learning more, invite them in. Say, we've learned that when we let Leo decide how much he eats, he does better noticing when he's full. And that's a skill we really want him to have. So thank you for asking. You don't have to give them a TED Talk or a lecture, just a moment of clarity and a little bit more in depth in your thinking. Okay, circle up. Up is uplift. When something goes well, say so. Thank you for offering the apple slices before the cookies. Did you see they actually ate them? Positive reinforcement works really well with kids. It also works with adults, especially the ones that raised us. All right, here are some specific scripts you can use if you're looking for that kind of specific language or ways that you can talk about this with someone you care about. We're working on helping her eat until she's satisfied, not stuffed. Can you help us by not offering seconds until she asks? We're trying to avoid using dessert as a reward, so we will have dessert after dinner, but it's not because she ate everything on her plate. He can have a treat, just one, but after lunch. Do you want to help him pick? Okay, lastly, I want to leave you with a little bit of this big picture perspective. These conversations are hard. They feel personal, they are personal, but they are also incredible opportunities. You're not just protecting your food goals, you are modeling what it looks like to hold a boundary, to navigate conflict with respect, and to trust yourself, even when others don't agree. That's parenting, that's growth, and honestly, that is the hard work we all have to do. So the next time you go to grandma's and her purse is full of candy, take a breath. You've got tools, you've got a voice, and you have permission to hold your values where they are while also holding space for your family. And if you need a little support or someone to vent to, well, I'm here, and so is the Weekly Parent. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss next week's post. And as always, if this video was helpful, share it with a friend or maybe a grandparent. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.